They didn't fire me because I was bad at my job. They fired me because the system I built made me unnecessary. That's what they said. Cold, robotic, like the very AI they wanted me to design. I remember the meeting, if you can call a 7-minute HR Zoom call a meeting. No eye contact, no thank you, no acknowledgement of the 3 years I gave them. Just your role is no longer necessary. The system is now fully autonomous. I sat in silence staring at the pixelated face of my boss, a man who once called me the brain behind the future. Now he was just reading from a script. I didn't argue. I didn't beg. I just nodded. Then I closed the laptop, stood up from my chair and walked out of the office I had built that damn system in. Alone. Quiet. But I wasn't empty-handed. They thought they had everything. The prototype, the interface, the architecture. What they forgot was that the system still depended on one thing, an API key. Mine. I was the lead developer of Nexa, their flagship AI financial system. An engine designed to automate complex market analyses, optimize investment paths, cut operational waste, and ironically trim the very analysts that used to do the work manually. It was lean, powerful, and terrifyingly efficient. It was also my creation. Every line of code, every logic tree, every exception handler. I didn't just write it. I breathed it, and they threw me out because it did what it was supposed to do too well. But Nexa wasn't truly autonomous. Not yet. At its core, beneath all the sleek dashboards and machine learning wrappers, it still had one simple gatekeeper, a manual override token for top-level data authentication. The token lived inside a config file buried deep inside the deployment container set by hand. Set by me. They didn't even know it existed. I added it in during a late-night sprint when the system started acting unpredictably under load. I never documented it. I never shared the credential. Because back then, I didn't trust anyone else with it. Turns out I was right. They were preparing for their biggest investor demo yet. Series B funding. 20 million on the table. I saw the press kit, the LinkedIn teasers, the future of finance, autonomous, intelligent, human-free. Bold words for a system they no longer had access to. Because the night before the demo, while sipping a glass of Cabernet, I opened my laptop just once and revoked the key. No breach, no hack, no sabotage. Just a quiet click. Token deactivated, system locked, access denied. They wouldn't know. Not until it mattered most. And the beautiful thing about AI, it doesn't panic. It doesn't scream. It just stops. They had removed me, erased my name from the credits, replaced me with a team of interns and a product manager who barely knew Python. But even machines, especially the smart ones, need a master, and I was still holding the leash. So when they walked onto that brightly lit stage the next morning, smiling, posturing, boasting about autonomous disruption, they had no idea. They were walking into a black box that no longer had a key. Their confidence wasn't just misplaced, it was artificial. They thought they replaced me with a machine. But even machines have masters. The night before the demo, I sat alone. One glass of wine, no music, just the low hum of my apartment's HVAC and the faint glow from the investor countdown page blinking on my monitor. 13 hours to Series B presentation. The press release had dropped that morning. Nexa revolutionizing finance with fully autonomous intelligence. The future of lean operations, no human needed. It made me laugh, quietly, bitterly. Funny thing about AI, it's smart. But it can't override a kill switch that doesn't exist inside its logic tree. And I never wrote that switch into Nexa's logic tree. I kept it outside, in my hand. They had cut the builder, but forgot the foundation still ran through him. I closed the browser, finished my wine, and slept better than I had in weeks. I wasn't there when it happened. I only heard about it later through chat logs, anonymous leaks, and the video clips that made their way online like a slow-motion train wreck. They had rented a midtown conference hall. Modern lighting. Brushed concrete floors. A clean white stage with the Nexa logo in pale blue, behind a confident man in a navy suit. That man was Peter, formerly my intern. Now product lead, applied intelligence. He used to ask me if try-catch blocks were necessary. Now he was introducing the future of finance. This is the end of guesswork. This is the rise of machine certainty. This is Nexa. I heard he smiled, gestured toward the big screen behind him. The room dimmed. He clicked, the graph loaded. Data scrolled. For 3 seconds, everything worked. And then it didn't. The line froze mid-curve. The AI voice Nexa's signature speech module cut off mid-word. Based on current Volgon. The screen blinked. Once, twice, then nothing. Just an error string. One that didn't mean much to the audience but meant everything to me. Auth token missing auth required. They thought it was a glitch. Peter chuckled nervously. You know, even AI gets stage fright. Some polite laughter. He tried restarting the module. Error. Restarted again. Same error. Someone from the investor section stood up. Someone else whispered, I thought this was supposed to be autonomous. A senior dev ran up from backstage. The system asked for credentials. Top-level credentials. Credentials only I ever had. The next 17 minutes were pure chaos. I know that because I watched it unfold on Twitter. And Reddit. And the Slack channel of a former colleague who still hadn't removed me from their project board. Investors left mid-pitch. Some politely. Some not. One woman from Vanden Capital reportedly said out loud, if this is the future, I'd rather stay in the past. They blamed the system. Then the infrastructure. Then the intern. They blamed everything. Except their own arrogance. What they never understood is this. I didn't break the system. I didn't touch a line of code. I just didn't let them use it. Because they didn't ask. Because they didn't credit. Because they assumed the machine would stay loyal even after its maker was discarded. And that's the thing about builders. We know where the cracks are. We know where the wires connect. You don't fire someone like me without first mapping the exit points. They didn't know yet that this wasn't over. The moment the demo collapsed, something shifted behind the scenes. A few directors tried digging through old Git logs. A security analyst combed access histories, checking for suspicious behavior. And Peter, he emailed me. Subject line: need to talk. No apology, no admission. Just panic cloaked in corporate tone. I didn't reply, because I was already in a different meeting, quiet off the books, with someone who had been watching the demo, not from the audience, but from the opposite side of the market. A man who worked for their biggest competitor. A man who said simply, we saw what didn't happen. Now we want what could. A week later, the email came. Not from my old company. Not from Peter. Not even from the board. It came from a private address. Minimal signature. Just a first name I recognized, and a domain that used to be their fiercest competitor. Subject: we saw what didn't happen. Body: let's talk about what could. I stared at the screen. It didn't surprise me. Not after what happened. The tech world is small. The world of financial AI even smaller. Everyone watched that demo implode. Everyone saw a company with 20 million on the line get undone by a single silence. And the ones who understood that silence wasn't a bug, but a signal. Those were the ones worth talking to. We met 2 days later, not in some high-rise office or over a boardroom table. It was a rooftop bar in Brooklyn overlooking the East River. Clean wind, low music, soft glow from the water below. He wore no tie, just a calm smile. We don't need to know what went wrong, he said, sipping a drink. We just want to know what you'd do differently, if you had full control. I didn't answer right away. I let the question settle. Let the night breeze carry it. Then I said, I'd build a system that doesn't pretend to remove people. I'd build one that knows when people are needed the most. Not to automate away, but to protect what can't be automated. He smiled. You just described what we hoped you'd say. 2 weeks later, I was sitting at a new desk. CTO. Not in name only. Real ownership, full equity. Contract signed on my terms, not theirs. My only condition, I own what I build. Forever. They didn't flinch. They understood. They didn't want to own me. They wanted to bet on me. And that made all the difference. This time, I wasn't creating a product to eliminate people. I was creating a protocol to expose the ones who did. The working name. Athena wasn't just another AI. It wasn't designed to predict markets. It was designed to predict lies, to scan existing AI financial systems and pinpoint the very weaknesses my old company never even saw coming. Bias, manipulability, fragile inputs, false assumptions masked as logic. Athena wasn't just smart, she was surgical. And her first live target, the Nexa demo architecture, archived and scraped legally through public beta files. In 3 minutes, Athena exposed every blind spot in the system they tried to sell as human-free. In 5 minutes, she predicted exactly why it failed on stage. And in 10 minutes, she showed how that failure wasn't just technical. It was ethical. We launched quietly. No press kits, no buzzwords, just a white paper, a video demo. Title: Can your AI pass the Athena test? We didn't even mention Nexa. We didn't have to. But the message was clear. This isn't about building the future. It's about accounting for the past and making sure the next system understands who it truly serves. The video went viral in 48 hours. 5.3 million views. LinkedIn flooded with commentary from tech leads, investors, journalists. Someone called it the AI that judges other AIs. Another headline said, Nexa's nemesis is here, and it knows the whole story. Meanwhile, back at my old company, they tried to downplay the fallout. But the markets didn't care. Their stock dropped 32% in 3 days. Series B was postponed, then quietly withdrawn. The CEO, same man who once said, we don't need human minds anymore, was stepped down for strategic misjudgment. They tried to bring the system back online. But no one understood the back-end architecture anymore. I had removed the only map. And without it, they were just wandering inside a maze of code they never wrote. They thought I was a disposable asset. Turns out I was the keystone. I never sent them a message, never gloated, never even responded to Peter's follow-up emails. This wasn't about revenge. This was about balance. They thought they could replace me with lines of logic. They forgot logic is only as strong as the mind behind it. They erased my name. I built a new one carved into code they'll never access. I don't want their apology. I don't want their job back. I want one thing, a system that remembers who built it and who it should protect. I didn't attend the press conference where their CEO stepped down, but I watched it. He looked smaller than I remembered. Same custom-tailored suit, but it fit looser now, like it was wearing him. He spoke in measured tones about market volatility, about adjusting internal leadership. Not once did he say the word Nexa. He didn't have to. Everyone already knew. The investors knew. The board knew. The tech press knew. And deep down, even he knew they hadn't just lost a product. They'd lost the only person who ever understood what it meant to build it. A week after the Athena launch, I got a package. No sender name, just a corporate return address in the corner of my old company's headquarters. Inside was a black matte finish flash drive. No note, no explanation. But I knew what it was. It was the Nexa source code archive. They wanted me to know it was over. They had surrendered. No press release, no fanfare, just silence. And silence this time meant defeat. I didn't plug it in, didn't open it, didn't even keep it. I dropped the drive in a locked drawer, turned the key and walked away, because it was never about getting it back. It was about proving it was mine all along. And I had. Athena became more than a system. It became a standard. Companies began submitting their AI tools for validation. Investors started asking, has this passed Athena? It wasn't about replacing systems anymore. It was about exposing the ones built without understanding, without ethics, without accountability. The ones like Nexa. The ones built on borrowed ideas, missing names, and stolen credit. Peter disappeared from public view. Some said he went back to school. Others said he joined a startup in Singapore. I never checked. Some things don't deserve follow-up. And me, I don't work late nights anymore. I don't code with a chip on my shoulder. I don't build to prove anyone wrong. I build because now finally I own what I build. And that's more powerful than any pay raise, title, or applause. People ask me sometimes, don't you miss it? The old job. The team. I just smile. No, because I was never part of a team. I was the tool they used until it started thinking for itself. And when that happened, they tried to shut me down, but they forgot. The difference between a tool and a weapon is who holds the code.